Last year, more than half of all cars sold in China, the largest market in the world, were electric. But Chinese automakers selling more than 500,000 cars in Europe last year too.
Somewhere in China, the Feixiang Group just solved a problem the entire global RV industry has struggled with for decades.
The RV Industry Association says manufacturers sent out half as many RVs to dealerships.
How to make a motorhome bigger without making it illegal to drive? Their answer: the FX RV S800, nicknamed the Flying RV, which builds its extra space upward instead of outward. Press a button, and hydraulic legs lift the entire structure 1.5 meters into the sky, unfolding a full second floor complete with its own bathroom. And it is only the beginning. 4 more insane Chinese motorhomes are about to prove this is not a one-off gimmick. Let's discuss all 5 of them. The RV that grows a second floor. Its name sounds like something out of a spy film, the Flying RV. And once you see it transform, you will understand exactly why. Built by the Feixiang Group under the Feixiang series, the FX RV S800 is constructed on an Iveco Eurocargo chassis, powered by a Fiat powertrain diesel engine producing 400 Newton-meters of torque through an automatic transmission. On the road, it measures under 6 meters in length, short enough to be legally driven with a completely standard license. No special commercial certification required. That is the deceptive part. On the highway, the FX RV S800 looks like nothing more than a slightly oversized delivery truck. But arrive at a campsite, shut off the engine, and press a single button, and the transformation begins. 4 electric hydraulic legs extend downward first, each one rated to support a load of 10 tons, locking the entire vehicle into place, regardless of wind or uneven ground. Only once those legs are secured does the second phase begin. The upper half of the vehicle rises smoothly on its own hydraulic system, lifting the entire structure by roughly 1.5 meters, climbing from 3 4/45 meters on the road to more than 5 meters once fully parked. Why would anyone need a motorhome that grows an extra 1.5 meters into the sky? The answer is space. A staggering amount of it. At road height, the usable living area measures 18 7/200 square meters, a perfectly reasonable size for a large motorhome. But once fully deployed, that number more than doubles, reaching 36 4/400 square meters once the upper floor and cab space are included. That is not an exaggeration for effect. That is an actual, verified figure, nearly the footprint of a small studio apartment, built entirely inside a vehicle that drives on ordinary roads. The single most remarkable detail, however, sits upstairs. The FX RV S800 is reported to be the first motorhome in the world to include a full-height second floor.
It's exciting to see it growing into other areas. Just the fun of the camping experience.
Complete with its own ensuite bathroom. Not a cramped closet with a toilet wedged inside, but a genuine upstairs bathroom, reachable by actual stairs rather than a ladder. Combine that with sleeping space for up to 4 people, and the vehicle stops resembling a camper altogether and starts resembling an actual small home that happens to also be a truck. None of this depends on being plugged into anything. The FX RV S800 carries 1,280 watts of solar paneling across its roof, feeding a 400 amp-hour lithium battery array through a 5,000-watt inverter, enough to run its washing machine, air conditioning, and full kitchen without ever needing an external power hookup. It holds 260 liters of fresh water, 160 liters of gray water, and 100 liters of fuel. Enough autonomy to disappear off-grid for days at a time. And in case daily comfort was not already covered, it also includes an outdoor kitchen, and almost as an afterthought, a built-in karaoke system. The engineering underneath all of this is not an afterthought either. The body itself is built from a high-strength sandwich construction using molded fiberglass, chosen specifically because the entire structure needs to support the added stress of hydraulic lifting without flexing or cracking over repeated use. A surround camera system and fully digital controls manage the transformation sequence, meaning the driver never has to guess whether the legs have locked properly or the upper section has reached full extension. Every stage of the process is monitored and confirmed electronically before the next stage begins. Why is a vehicle like this emerging from China specifically, rather than from the traditional RV manufacturing hubs of Europe or North America? Part of the answer sits in how differently the two markets have approached the same basic problem. Commentators covering the launch have noted that European motorhome manufacturers have largely stuck to incremental, familiar improvements, slightly bigger slide-outs, slightly better insulation, while Chinese manufacturers, working with fewer legacy assumptions about what an RV is supposed to look like, have been willing to rebuild the entire concept from the ground up. Rising domestic demand, government investment in tourism infrastructure, and a rapidly growing middle class eager for flexible travel options have combined to create exactly the conditions a vehicle this ambitious needed to reach production. Industry analysts covering the segment have described the two-story transforming motorhome as a genuine blue ocean opportunity, a corner of the market with almost no direct competition because it solves a problem nobody else had figured out how to solve. By using vertical expansion instead of the traditional side slide-out, the FX RV S800 sidesteps the usual trade-off between road-legal size and livable space entirely, offering what analysts have called villa levels of space inside a footprint that never stops being road legal. Suggested use cases extend well beyond weekend camping trips, ranging from off-grid luxury travel to mobile executive offices to large family camping setups that would otherwise require towing a separate trailer.
It actually has a queen-size bed, which is hard to believe.
This is the third generation of the FX RV S800, refined over multiple iterations rather than a single lucky prototype. For now, it remains available exclusively within China, with no announced plans for international export, which means, for the moment, the only way to experience it is to see it exactly the way this video is about to show you. The RV that went viral first. Before there was an S800, there was an S788, and its story is arguably even stranger, because nobody was supposed to notice it in the first place. Built by the same Feixiang Group on a Ford Transit T8 chassis rather than the Iveco platform used later, the S788 was the original version of what the internet would eventually nickname the Flying RV. How does a niche Chinese motorhome end up going viral on platforms half a world away? Nobody at Feixiang seems to have planned for it. A handful of short clips showing the vehicle's roof rising and its structure unfolding at a campsite found their way onto YouTube and TikTok, and within days, viewers who had never heard of the company were sharing footage of a truck that appeared to be assembling itself into a house. The reaction was not manufactured hype. It was genuine confusion and fascination from people encountering the concept for the first time, with no context beyond the footage itself. The S788 could sleep up to 6 people, a full 2 more than the later S800, thanks to a slightly different interior configuration built around the Ford Transit's proportions. It established the core mechanical idea that Feixiang would later refine: hydraulic legs for stability, a rising upper structure for space, before the company moved to the heavier-duty Iveco chassis to support the larger, more elaborate S800 that followed it. The choice of a Ford Transit T8 as the original base platform was not a small decision either. The Transit is one of the most widely produced commercial van chassis in the world, already trusted by fleets and converters across multiple continents for its reliability and parts availability. Building the very first version of a radically new concept on top of a proven, familiar chassis meant Feixiang could focus its engineering effort entirely on solving the hydraulic transformation problem, rather than also having to prove out an unfamiliar drivetrain at the same time. Watching the original footage back now, knowing what came after, it plays almost like an early sketch of a much bigger idea. The fundamental mechanism is recognizably the same: legs down, structure up. But the S800 pushes every dimension of that idea further. A taller rise, a more refined hydraulic system, that now famous ensuite bathroom the S788 never had. Seeing both machines side by side makes the improvement obvious in a way that specifications on a page never quite managed to. Part of what made the S788's initial reaction so strong was simply timing. Most viewers scrolling through short-form video platforms had never seen a vehicle transform in real time before, and there was no easy category to file it under. It was not quite a tiny house video, not quite a car reveal, and not quite a piece of engineering content either. That novelty is exactly what made it spread so quickly beyond its original Chinese audience, reaching viewers in markets where the vehicle itself was never going to be available to buy in the first place. That international attention, arriving with essentially zero marketing spend behind it, is worth sitting with for a moment. Most viral vehicle content comes from established automakers running deliberate reveal campaigns built around press embargoes and coordinated launch events. The S788 had none of that. It simply existed, someone filmed it doing what it was designed to do, and the internet did the rest. Proof that genuinely novel engineering can still generate organic reach in an attention economy usually dominated by carefully produced marketing. It is worth asking what that says about how engineering stories travel now compared to a decade ago. A viral clip cannot fake hydraulic legs actually lifting a real structure into the air. Either the transformation works on camera or it does not. And that built-in authenticity is exactly what separated the S788 spread from the average manufactured tech hype cycle. Viewers were not reacting to a promise or a rendering. They were reacting to something physically happening in front of them, filmed with no polish and no script, which may be precisely why it felt so believable. There is something worth noting in the fact that Feixiang did not stop after the S788's unexpected internet moment. Plenty of companies would have treated a viral clip as the finish line, milking the attention with merchandise or a limited anniversary edition rather than genuine engineering follow-through. Instead, the S788's success became the starting point for a second, more ambitious version, built on a heavier chassis with more refined hydraulics, proof that the underlying transformation concept was not a novelty gimmick, but a genuine architectural approach worth building an entire product line around. China's transforming pickup RV. Not every insane Chinese motorhome needs a hydraulic second floor to earn its place on this list. The Shenlong Daxia, built by Tuku on the platform of the Chang'an Hunter pickup truck, takes an entirely different approach, starting from a vehicle most people already recognize as a capable, everyday workhorse, and quietly turning it into something far stranger. At its core, the Shenlong Daxia runs on a hybrid powertrain, blending the pickup's practical, road-ready performance with the kind of efficiency that matters when you are hauling an entire living structure on your back. Its defining feature is a 3-section pop-up roof, a system that expands the cabin space in stages rather than all at once, giving occupants more headroom and floor space exactly where they need it, without adding unnecessary bulk to the vehicle's silhouette while driving. Why build a camper around a pickup truck platform instead of a purpose-built chassis? Practicality is the obvious answer. With its roof lowered for road travel, the Shenlong Daxia measures just 2 3/10 meters in height, low enough to clear most parking structures, underpasses, and garage entrances that would stop a taller, purpose-built motorhome cold. It behaves like a normal pickup truck, right up until the moment its owner decides otherwise. That distinction matters more than it might first appear. A vehicle like the Feixiang S800 is built from the ground up to be a motorhome. It will never blend into a supermarket parking lot or an office car park. The Shenlong Daxia, by contrast, can spend its weekdays behaving exactly like any other pickup truck on a work site or a school run, then transform on a Friday evening into a genuine off-grid cabin without its owner ever needing to own, insure, or store a second vehicle. The hybrid powertrain underneath reinforces that same dual-purpose philosophy. Rather than optimizing purely for maximum torque or maximum fuel economy, the setup is tuned to handle both demanding daily driving and the additional weight of a full living structure without a significant performance penalty in either mode. For buyers who cannot justify owning a dedicated motorhome that spends most of the year parked in a driveway, that flexibility is arguably a more valuable feature than any single spec on the Feixiang's much longer list. The choice of the Chang'an Hunter as a base platform is not incidental either. The Hunter has built a solid reputation within China's domestic market as a rugged, dependable pickup, already trusted by buyers who need genuine off-road capability rather than the appearance of it. Building a fold-out cabin system on top of a chassis people already know and trust removes much of the uncertainty that comes with buying an entirely new, unfamiliar category of vehicle. The truck underneath is a known quantity, and the transformation on top is simply an added capability layered onto it. This approach also says something about how Chinese manufacturers are thinking about the motorhome category differently than legacy players elsewhere. Rather than treating a camper as its own dedicated product line, the Shenlong Daxia treats it as an accessory layer built on top of an already popular vehicle, closer in spirit to a modular add-on than to a from-scratch motorhome. That approach lowers both the manufacturing complexity and the eventual purchase price compared to a purpose-built chassis like the Feixiang's, even if it means sacrificing some of the raw scale that a dedicated motorhome platform can offer. The Shenlong Daxia made its most notable public appearance at the Chengdu exhibition in mid-May of 2026, where it was showcased alongside a wave of other Chinese vehicle innovations.
I'm at the Beijing Auto Show where 1,400 vehicles are on display,
aimed at demonstrating just how quickly the country's automotive sector is moving beyond conventional categories. For a segment of buyers who want serious off-road capability during the week and expandable living space on the weekend, without maintaining two separate vehicles, the Shenlong Daxia represents a distinctly different and arguably more practical answer to the same basic question the Feixiang models are solving. The heavyweight challenger. If the Feixiang FX RV S800 is the flashy pioneer, the Citrac two-story mobile villa RV is the heavyweight competitor determined not to be left behind. Built by Citrac, a brand under the established heavy-duty manufacturer Sinotruk, this 4x2 configuration motorhome pairs a 270 horsepower engine with a 10-speed automated manual transmission, numbers that place it firmly in serious heavy vehicle territory rather than the lighter commercial platforms used by some of its rivals. Marketed explicitly as a mobile villa rather than simply a motorhome, the Citrac leans into the same two-story concept popularized by the Feixiang models, aimed squarely at buyers who want off-grid and wilderness camping capability without sacrificing the scale of a genuine second-floor living space. Sinotruk's decades of heavy truck manufacturing experience show up in the vehicle's underlying engineering. This is a company that has spent years building reliable, rugged commercial trucks, now applying that same foundation to a very different kind of customer. That heritage is worth pausing on, because it changes the story slightly from the one told by the Feixiang models. Feixiang built its reputation from a standing start, entering the RV space with a genuinely novel engineering concept and no prior track record in heavy vehicles at all. Sinotruk, through its Citrac brand, is instead taking decades of proven heavy-duty truck reliability and redirecting it toward the same two-story living concept. A bet that established engineering credibility, rather than novelty, is what will win over a more cautious segment of buyers. Sinotruk itself is not a small or unproven name attempting to chase a trend. Through brands including Citrac and its better-known Hawo line, the company has spent decades exporting heavy trucks to markets across Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia, building a reputation for durability in demanding, unforgiving operating conditions long before it ever turned its attention toward recreational vehicles. Applying that same hard-won durability to a leisure product is a very different kind of engineering challenge than the one Feixiang solved. But it comes from a company that has already proven it can build vehicles capable of surviving conditions most passenger vehicles never encounter. That contrast between the two companies' backgrounds is really the most interesting part of the Citrac story. Feixiang approached the two-story motorhome as engineers solving a completely new problem from first principles. Sinotruk approached the exact same problem as a manufacturer, asking how its existing heavy vehicle expertise could be redirected toward a new market entirely. Neither approach is objectively superior. They simply represent two very different paths converging on the same basic idea, which is itself a strong signal that the underlying concept has real staying power, rather than being a single company's lucky novelty. Does bigger always mean better, though? Not necessarily. Industry analysis of the segment has noted that the Citrac's maneuverability lags noticeably behind the more compact Feixiang S800, and that operating it in many regions requires more specialized driving permits than a standard license would allow. That trade-off, more raw scale and power in exchange for reduced everyday practicality, positions the Citrac as a serious option specifically for buyers prioritizing sheer size and off-grid ruggedness over the effortless drivability that makes the Feixiang models so approachable for ordinary owners. What the Citrac proves more than anything is that the two-story motorhome concept was never a one-company fluke. When an established heavy vehicle manufacturer with decades of engineering credibility builds its own version of the same core idea, it signals that the entire Chinese RV industry has identified vertical expansion as a real, durable trend.
A 20-year-old camper he bought for $5,000, parked in an RV lot in Graysville, Tennessee, just north of Chattanooga.
Not a single viral gimmick that happened to catch on once. The affordable EV camper revolution. Not everything insane about Chinese motorhome innovation has to come with a six-figure price tag or a hydraulic lift system. The Wuling Zhiguang EV is a fully electric pop-top camper van, developed by Vala Studio and formally listed in the official new vehicle catalog published by China's Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, a level of formal recognition that signals this is a genuine production vehicle, not a design exercise. Where the Feixiang and Citrac models chase maximum space and off-grid endurance, the Zhiguang EV chases something almost opposite: accessibility. It is aimed specifically at solo campers rather than families, with an estimated retail price between 80,000 and 90,000 yuan, a fraction of what the larger two-story motorhomes are likely to cost, and firmly within reach of a much broader range of buyers. Could the real revolution in Chinese motorhomes actually be happening at the affordable end of the market rather than the flashy top? The numbers suggest exactly that. Self-contained motorhome sales across China reached nearly 10,000 units in the third quarter of 2025 alone, and electric models within that segment surged by more than 230% over the same period the year before. While a single hydraulic villa on wheels generates headlines, it is compact, affordable, electric campers like the Zhiguang that are quietly reshaping what ordinary road trips actually look like for millions of everyday buyers. There is also something telling in where the Zhiguang EV comes from. Vala Studio built its design specifically around the solo traveler rather than trying to shrink down a family-sized layout, which shows in the compact pop-top structure itself. It exists purely to add headroom at camp without adding meaningful bulk or weight on the road. That kind of restraint is easy to overlook next to a two-story hydraulic villa, but it is exactly the design discipline that keeps the price low enough for the vehicle to matter at scale rather than remaining a boutique curiosity. That growth is not happening by accident. Analysts tracking the broader Chinese RV sector project the market could surpass $1.5 billion in value by 2028, growing at somewhere between 12 and 15% annually. A rising domestic middle class with more disposable income, government investment in tourism and camping infrastructure, and manufacturers benefiting from lower production costs and established domestic supply chains have combined to make vehicles like the Zhiguang not just possible, but increasingly ordinary. Industry estimates suggest Chinese-built motorhomes can undercut European or North American equivalents by 30 to 50%.
Americans are searching for deals. One place they can't find them: Chinese electric cars.
Without necessarily compromising on the underlying technology. The electric angle matters here too, and not only for cost reasons. China's broader push toward new energy vehicles, the government's preferred term for electric and hybrid vehicles, has reshaped nearly every corner of its domestic auto industry over the past decade, from passenger cars to buses to heavy trucks. A pop-top electric camper appearing in an official government vehicle catalog is not an isolated curiosity. It reflects the same national push that has already made China the world's largest electric vehicle market, now extending naturally into recreational and leisure vehicles as that underlying technology and infrastructure matures. There is a quieter kind of significance in a vehicle like the Zhiguang EV that easily gets overshadowed by machines with rising rooftops and karaoke systems. For a huge segment of potential buyers, the appeal of camper ownership was never about maximizing square meters or chasing the most extreme transformation possible. It was simply about affordable freedom, the ability to disappear for a weekend without a 5- or 6-figure price tag standing in the way. Judged purely by that standard, the Jiguang EV may end up mattering to more people, more often, than any of the 4 more dramatic vehicles that came before it on this list. Placed next to the Feixiang S800's dramatic transformation, the Jiguang EV might look almost unremarkable at first glance. No rising roof, no ensuite bathroom, no karaoke machine. But that contrast is exactly the point. China's motorhome industry is not chasing a single spectacle. It is simultaneously building the most extreme, headline-grabbing vehicles imaginable and the most practical, affordable ones. Proof that this wave of innovation runs far deeper than one viral clip of a truck growing a second floor. What these vehicles ultimately reveal is not just the future of motorhomes, but the future of innovation itself. From RVs that rise into 2-story homes to electric campers designed for everyday travelers, China's manufacturers are proving that conventional limits are meant to be challenged. Some of these designs may remain niche, while others could reshape an entire global industry. But together, they demonstrate a willingness to rethink mobility from the ground up. The question is no longer whether RVs can be transformed, it's how far that transformation can go. Which of these remarkable creations impressed you the most? Let us know below, like this video, and subscribe, because China's next motorhome breakthrough is already in the works.